Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome, or hopefully it's welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is The Business Talk Show. My co-host, Mr. Al CINI, has the day off. We expect him back soon. And hello to you, Al. We miss you. Joining me today is my friend and colleague. He's a mentor. He's a coach. He's a huge part of our platform here at USA Global TV. His name is Roland FRIEDL, and he actually is living wirelessly in his RV traveling through Europe. He is the co-host of the Mallorca Connection, which you can see here on Tuesdays. He is also one of our expert presenters on our Talking Heads platform. He is an expert elevated listener on our listening team, and he is the first and only so far host and moderator of his own panel show, which was the first episode was broadcast last week, and the second one right after this. It's called Wild at Heart, Bonfire Talks, Real, Authentic, Uncut. Let's welcome Roland FRIEDL, and then we'll bring out our guest, Dave Combs. Hi, Roland.
Hello, Dr. JACALYN. Great to see you again.
Nice to see you too. You know, just giving you that introduction, it chills running down my spine at how much value you bring here to this platform as we continue to grow just from January the 10th. And also what your friendship means to me. And you've been a great coach and a great mentor to me as I build out this business. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this feedback. And it's always an honor and a pleasure to support you and this amazing platform. I highly appreciate what you're doing. And it's just a family, you know, USA Global TV and Radio. And yeah, I'm very happy to be part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, we say hello to Al CINI. Al, I want you to know we're excited for you to come back, and Roland's doing a great job. So, it's
I do my best, Al. I do my best, Al.
So, Roland, before we bring out Dave Combs, I want to spotlight you, and I want to just have you share with our viewers and our listeners who are joining us for the first time, who is Roland FRIEDL and what's important to you?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, hello, I'm Roland, wherever you're listening or observing us, watching us. Yeah, as you can hear from my accent, I'm not a native English speaker. I'm raised and born in Austria, a beautiful small country in the middle of Europe. Who I am? Yeah, first of all, I'm a human being. Secondly, I'm a man. That's why I dedicated my life to man. I started over 3 decades ago with my company where we do coaching consulting to organizations and their leadership. They're mostly men, of course women too, but mostly men. And I dedicated my life to support them, not only to grow market shares, have better profits, grow faster, longer, wider, but also especially to the executive and the leadership when they come home to have a happy, joyful, purposeful life, not to be exhausted with a burnout. So have a good work-life balance. That's what I do. And besides that, I started a platform, Sparing for Men, where men come together in a safe, lovely environment where they share all about their being and their role as a man. And right now, I'm very excited about doing the second show afterwards, the Wild at Heart show, because I'm streaming it live from RV. Yes, that's true. But I just came here to a nice venue, an amazing spot in the wild and nature. And tonight there is starting a men's festival that's lasting until Sunday. So it's a gathering of men. We have different topics, lectures. We have boxing. We have martial arts. We have Viking stuff. So I'm very looking forward to that and stream from here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roland. I appreciate it. And we're going to bring out our guests. I first met Dave Combs, I believe it was on Authentic Achievements. And I was really just so impressed with the work that he's done. He's written, I hope I have it right, I think over 120 songs. So he's a songwriter, he's a photographer, he's an author, and he is a business person. He's an entrepreneur, and he's going to share with us a little bit of his backstory and then also help us understand the business of the music industry. Let's welcome Dave Combs. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Dr. JACALYN, and
Hi,
hey,
Dave.
Roland. How are
Great
you?
to see you.
Great. It's great to be here, and good to see you again, Dr. JACALYN.
Thank you so much. It's great to have you. And as I mentioned backstage, I love that you're color coordinated with our background today. Yay. Is that intentional, Dave?
No, it's quite by accident, but these are the colors close to it of one of the universities that I'm on the board of visitors. That's High Point University in High Point, North Carolina. One of their colors is purple, so I'm kind of playing allegiance to them as well today. So
outstanding. Well, Dave, when we first met, we talked about Touched by the Music, which we'll speak about again today. I like to start off this show, if you can just share with our entrepreneurs who are watching or listening your background as an entrepreneur and some of the key learnings that you've had along the way. And I know this could take hours and days and weeks, but just some that come to mind right away.
I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. How's that? I basically went to college as a math major, a physics minor, and my intent was to get a job in the IT industry, which I did. I became a computer programmer for a Fortune 500 company. It was called Western Electric at the time. And so I began in the technology world. And but at the same time, I grew up around music. I was born into a musical family. That my mother and father both liked music, played the piano. My grandmother Combs played music, and a lot of people that I went to church with, went to school with, were all into music as well. And so music has always been a part of my life, socially and entertainment wise and everything. And I really had no idea when I started my job with Western Electric in the computer IT area that I would eventually be able to migrate and transfer from that over to doing my own music business later in life. Well, to make a long story short, is I worked in the technology field for eventually 22 and a half years with AT&T Western Electric. Along the way, I got my MBA from Wake Forest University. So I continued my business training and education and learning. And all along the way, I still had this burning desire down inside me, like many entrepreneurs always do, is that you always have that dream of doing something, working for yourself as an entrepreneur. And I wasn't sure how that was going to take place. And it wasn't something that I mapped it all out and had all of the stops along the way all planned out. But it started with a song that I wrote in 1981. And it got its name in 1983. It was called Rachel's Song, named after our godchild, Rachel, who I played it at her christening service and then named it after her. Got it recorded in 1986 as just a demo for fun in Nashville, Tennessee, by a wonderful musician by the name of Gary Prim. And he was is a session musician in Nashville, a keyboard player, very talented young man. And the demo that he created for me of my song, Rachel's Song, was so spectacular that when it got played on the radio, the listeners to the radio station would just flock to the phones and call in and want to know more about that song. And I began to see the demand for that music as it got played on radio stations all over the country. I started getting mail from people wanting to know, how do I get a copy of this Rachel's Song? So I had to go back and figure out, how can I create something I can literally sell to these people? So I wrote more songs, began writing more songs. And in 1988, I recorded my first CD or album with Rachel's Song as the title song of the album. And so then I had cassette tapes and CDs that I could actually physically sell to people that wanted to hear it. And then the business problem was, okay, I can sell to people that contact me by mail or whatever. That's pretty easy. but how do I then take my product or my CD and my music out to the masses through any kind of a retail setting? And that was a real challenge, and actually took years for that to take place. And what I finally settled on was selling my music through gift shops in tourist towns. Those of you that go out on vacation and go into a tourist town and you walk into a nice little gift shop, most of the time you're going to hear beautiful music playing, so at least some kind of pleasant music playing in the shop. And often what I found was that people, when they heard that music in the shop, they wanted to take it home with them. They liked it that much. And so my job then was to find gift shops in tourist towns all over the whole country that would play and sell my music. And I embarked upon a marketing work, a lot of work. It was really nothing magic about it, except a lot of phone calls and a lot of contacts. And I eventually got it into over 1,000 gift shops all over the entire country. And along that process, the business actually grew to the point where I was creating a new album of music and writing new music every year for about 15 years. And by 1992, I was able to leave my job at Western AT&T, which used to be Western Electric, AT&T, nice, great paying job, great job. There's nothing wrong with the job or the people I was working with, but it's that my passion for my music well overtook my job at AT&T. So I resigned my job in 1992 and did my music full time as an entrepreneur from that point forward.
Incredible story. Just hearing it again, I'm just so inspired. Thank you. Roland.
I love this. I love the story because there's so much in your story, Dave. First of all, that you follow your passion. That's what I love, because most people are so afraid to follow passion. And the second is what I really want to highlight here for me is you follow your passion, and then you find a way how to sell it, not waiting till somebody gets in contact with you or calls you. No, you get active out in the market. And that's what I really love from the story. This is a success story, and everybody can do this. Just moving the ass, picking up the phone, and find a way to sell the product you're passionate for. I love this absolutely, because
Right.
mostly we have this idea that musicians are very creative, but they're no business-like. Yeah, but I think there's no exclusive this or that. You can do both together if you really want it.
That's exactly right, Roland.
Excellent. I love that.
I love that too. So Dave, if you can also share for our audience, what are some of the potholes that you came upon during the way?
Well, a lot of them have to do with how do you deal with rejection, or not total rejection, but just roadblocks in the way where you think something's going to be really received wonderfully and you walk in and it's just the opposite. Like, for example, when I thought I was going to be able to sell my music through what we had back then was record stores. There were stores dedicated to selling music. And one of them was called Record Bar, and I forget what the others were, but that's all they sold was literal vinyl records, and then eventually CDs, and used to be cassette tapes. Well, I go into there thinking that just because my music sounds wonderful, it's great music, the public loves it because of the feedback I'm getting from all the radio airplay all over the whole country. I go into approach these stores, they won't even return my phone call, or if they do, they're very condescending about instrumental music. We don't sell very much instrumental music. We sell country and rock and jazz and all the classical, all these kind of music, but we just don't sell this elevator music. It was pretty. So that was pretty disappointing. And but the main thing is, well, I just decided, all right, I've learned one thing here. I know how I'm not going to sell my music. I won't be selling it through that venue. So I got to find another. And if I can't find one, I will create one, which is exactly what I did. Back in the mid 80s, the gift shops all across the country, by and large, they would play music, but they did not sell what they played. They just played it for the enjoyment of their customers. Well, myself and two other musicians, one on the West Coast and one, I think he was in Texas, had created some of this soothing, relaxing instrumental music. And the three of us had discovered that when people heard our music in the stores, they liked it and wanted to buy it. So I embarked along with these other two gentlemen on a path of educating or finding these gift shop owners. And basically, here's the way I did it. It was kind of like a puppy dog sale, if you know that term, where you loan somebody a puppy dog and say, well, you can keep it if you want to, or you can return it. Nobody ever returns a puppy dog. But anyway, so I would go into these gift shops that weren't selling music, but they were playing it. They had a good system. I would leave them a sample of my music and say, okay, there's free sample. You can have this, play it in your shop, but be aware that if people start asking about the music and want to purchase it and you don't have it, you have a business opportunity. So if that happens, you call me. Well, a lot of people discovered that they could sell music in their shop by playing it in the shop. And I went from one gift shop to start with in Old Town Alexandria to eventually, over the years, over 1,000 gift shops in all 50 states playing and selling my music. And that channel became known as the Play and Sell Market. Well, guess what? The big boys and all the other music folks discovered it. So now if you go into a gift shop or a place like that, or Cracker Barrel or wherever you're shopping, guess what? You'll see music on a stand or probably even a fancy carousel or something. But back then that didn't exist. It was only me and these other two people that started that. But other people discovered our niche that we had created. So that's kind of a long story of how that happened, but it's interesting. But if you can't find a way to do something, create a way.
I love this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Dave, you mentioned something very important, I guess, especially for beginners who want to start a business. You say dealing with no. I guess this is what really kicks a lot of people out of the market, because they can't deal with the no. They take it personally. Yeah. They take it personal. They don't understand that there's not saying no to you as a person, they say no to the product or no to the opportunity. But most people are struggling with that. And I learned it in my early years. What's your advice to people who start and negotiate with the no's? Okay.
I have a funny saying that I always say is that no doesn't mean no. No just means not yet. So, and in my approach, when I would call all these gift shops around the country, trying to find some that would play and sell my music, I would have to make 30 phone calls to get one customer. So I got used to hearing no 29 times, but I knew that if I kept at it, I would have, because I kept records of all my, calling and all that. And I knew I was going to get one. If I just made another 29 phone calls, I'll get another. The next one will probably be a yes. And then eventually I figured out how to get my hit rate down, if you want to think of it that way, from 1 in 30. I found a way to get it down to 1 in 5. But I'm still getting, 4 no's to get 1 1 yes. But the 1 in 5 is a lot better than 1 in 30. So you just have to have the mindset that that what you're offering is desirable and will land in the right place for somebody. And you just have to keep at it. And as soon as they say no, well, thank you very much, hang up and go on to the next one. Do not be discouraged by the no, and don't ever let anybody steal your dream. Don't ever let anybody try to talk you out of your dream. You keep at it, and you will succeed.
That's exactly what I always trained salespeople. Make your records and know exactly your ratio, how many phone calls you have to make until you get an appointment. And once you know it, and you have a certain target, you multiply it through the phone calls, and then you go, and then you will succeed at the end of the day. And the more you practice, the better you get. And as you said, then your ratio comes down. It's 1 of 30, it's 1 of 5. And I made this learning of a story for that. In my 20s, I met a woman. She was selling encyclopedias. These books. We had no internet right now. This expensive books, and you buy one per month, and it gets from A to B, and then the next one gets from C to yeah. So expensive book. And I spent one day with her. I was 22 or something like that. I spent one day with her, and she was really knocking on doors, door by door, bang, bang, yeah. And this is the hard way to sell, cold market. And she gets so many no's and no's and no's. People are smashing the door, screaming up. And I told her, what's going on? And she said, Roland, one learning. Of course, the yes is good, But I love a quick no is much better than a maybe or even later, because with I'm sitting there for an hour and they're talking and no decision. No. If they get a quick no, okay, I go to the next because I know my ratio. I know my
Yes.
ratio.
Yes, I made so many phone calls. You two will appreciate this. Back in that time, we used to get our phone bill. It was everything was itemized. We got these little pages with every phone call. I had made so many phone calls on a weekend because I was doing this. I was still working at AT&T in the week, and so I made all these phone calls on Saturday and Sunday. But I made so many that my phone bill came. They sent it to me in a box. It was the size of a shoebox. I laughed. Here comes my phone bill, and it's this big. It was only, a few $100s, but it was 13 seconds. No, 13 seconds. There was 29 really short phone calls. And then there would be one for two or 3 minutes. And I know, well, that was a hit.
Yeah.
So it's funny that nowadays we don't even think of what's long distance. We can call halfway around the world today for nothing. Back then it was, expensive to make long distance phone calls.
Yeah.
It sure was.
Today we have computer, we have email. Are you still on making phone calls? Because I still love making phone calls to get credit. How's your approach?
I do, like for last year. This is has nothing to do with this. Exactly what we're talking about. But last year at the beginning of the pandemic, I decided that I was going to create some music videos with my photography and my music, which is very soothing and relaxing. Make them especially put them up on YouTube so that people in nursing homes and assisted living facilities could play my music and my beautiful photography up on a big screen somewhere, so that it would provide a relaxing, soothing atmosphere for all these people that were essentially locked into their rooms or in that facility and couldn't go anywhere. And I really felt for those people that they needed something to take their mind off of the pandemic and off of the virus and onto something pleasant. So I did that. And I started by telephoning the activities directors at nursing homes or assisted living facilities. I wanted to talk to the person who is in charge of keeping their residents entertained and happy. And I knew that my music would do that. So I got back on the phone and I called in North Carolina 250 nursing home and assisted living facilities personally, and talked to the activities director and pitched to them that I would send them the link to my YouTube videos, and they appreciated it very much. And then it took weeks to get through to all those people. And then I decided I want to do this for the whole country. So I found out how to get it in touch with all 45,000 facilities in the United States through the associations. There is an assisted living association in every state. There's a nursing home association in every state. There's national associations. I called the associations knowing that they had membership and newsletters that they would send out. And they were kind enough to put the links to my long playing videos in their newsletters so that all of the facilities in the entire country eventually had access to as much of my soothing, relaxing music as they wanted to play.
I loved it.
I know. I love this too. So, Dave, since we met a couple of months ago, or 2 or 3 months ago, I'm sure you're on to even more things that you've been doing. You're not the kind of man who's sitting still. So.
No, I've been really busy. I think this is my 75th podcast that I'm keeping track of all those too. And I'm doing about 3 or 4 a day, but I am enjoying meeting people like you all across, not just the country, all across the globe, because it doesn't matter whether they're in Australia or I've had conversations in Germany and England and all over the United States. But I am enjoying telling my stories and hopefully getting the word out about my music and my inspiration about being an entrepreneur and encouragement to people. And so that's what I've been spending my time, and I'm really enjoying it because I have met some absolutely wonderful people through this medium.
I love that. Do you have a goal or a certain number that you're trying to get to, or a certain outcome?
Well, I want to get up to well over 100 of them. And I'm not sure exactly where I can reach a saturation point where I've talked to everybody that really wants me to talk to them. but I'm still going, and I want, my music has been heard by millions of people already. I know that. But on this planet are billions of people. So there's many, many, many times that have never heard my music. They don't know anything about these stories. And so my mission is really to spread the word and to spread my music around the globe and hope that it reaches a lot of people's ears and hope it touches their lives as it has touched mine. So that's my mission.
That's a brilliant mission. And I think there's a lot to be said for the entrepreneurs who are out there, is that sometimes when we hear no and no and no, we start to question, maybe I have nothing of value to offer. Well, maybe not to that person, not yet, but there are billions of people. So if you really have that passion and that drive, and you know what you have can really bring value and change lives, you are incumbent to keep going and find the yeses, because they're there.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, we're going to pause for a quick break and hear from a couple of our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll have more conversations with Dave Combs. This is the 75th live broadcast you've been on.
Yes.
All right. There's something to be said about that. Okay, let's take a look at our choice clothing company. And then we're going to be looking at another really inspirational person. Her name is Ashley Owens, and she is the queen of networking. She's the networking concierge. We'll take a look at her clip, and then we'll be right back. Thank you.
When all my broken sneakers started to pile up in the wardrobe, I realized that we have a problem. Sneakers are made from plastics, and plastic is not mendable. My name is Philip, and I'm one of the founders of Our Choice Fashion. How many times did this happen to you? How can eco sneakers save the world when they break after only a few months and we have to buy pair after pair that breaks? We are here to give you the solution, a choice for truly sustainable fashion in the world's first circular sneakers. On average, we all buy 3 pairs of sneakers each and every year. This adds up to 25 billion sneakers per year, of which most end up in landfills. This adds up to 350 million tons of CO2 emissions, the same amount as for the country of Italy or the state of California. So we started to develop a product that would have all the old-fashioned qualities. It is mendable, it has a classic design, and it has a natural comfort. Because we chose the best designer there is, Mother Nature. The sneakers get more and more comfortable the more you wear them. Made from vegetable tan leather and natural latex from the rubber tree, the sneakers are both sustainable and comfortable. These sneakers are made from pure raw materials that are both fully biodegradable and fully recyclable. The best thing here really is that when your sneakers need an upgrade, you just send them right back to us using the same bag that you got them delivered in. We then resole your sneakers, put on a fresh pair of laces, and give them a nice new polish. This means that you can wear your sneakers for many years to come. Our sneakers are more than sneakers. They are a circular function, and we developed a smart pull for you to step into your sneakers without stepping down the heel. This means that you get a truly sustainable grip. We've got a fully circular business model, and that's why we'll only produce sneakers on your demand. Book your product now and get that sustainable grip at a discount. We've been on this amazing journey for 2 years, and now we're inviting you to also make a choice for truly sustainable fashion. Try the world's first circular sneakers, 100% plastic free, and I can promise you that our choice will be your companion for many years to come.
And talking to people in an audience and really being able to identify, okay, I see where you're having trouble, let's work on fixing it. How do you help them? How do you provide value? My goal is to give them those tools to be able to go out and tackle that fear. Anywhere there's coffee is where I'll be. So I bring candy a lot to my speaking engagements. Like, of course that makes sense. I'm a little unconventional.
Ashley was very knowledgeable.
Very entertaining.
I learned a few new things, and to me, that's the key.
What do you want them to say? How do you want to be perceived? You're going to get the most direct, tactical tips and practical takeaways when it comes to networking. These two here are super important. You'll remember once the conversation starts.
I love the tips that she gave out. I hate networking with a passion, so I feel like I can go through a meeting or event and not feel so uncomfortable.
When you're going to a presentation, you want to be educated. You also want to be entertained.
She was really fun and really personable, and everything she was saying was just very relatable.
She's got a lot of great ideas.
That will make you stand out so fast.
She comes across as someone that likes what they do and just doesn't try to sell you something.
Activity breeds results. If you're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere.
Just made me want to start networking, which I never thought I'd say before.
A networking strategy that works for you.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, Dr. JACALYN, Roland, glad to be back.
Nice to have you back. I want to come in on your book, Touched by the Music, and your work as an author. So I've been told many times that as a business entrepreneur, for additional credibility, we should write a book. So that's why I wrote my first book, actually. And I really enjoyed it. So I wrote the second book. Why did you write your book? And why are you writing? Why are you publishing? What is that about for you?
Well, over the years, I've been at this since I wrote Rachel's song, in 1981? Well, that's 41 years ago. So this has been a long journey for me. And over that journey, I, of course, have accumulated all of these wonderful stories, a couple of which I've already related on the program. And I have many dozens more of those little short stories, so to speak. And each one of them has kind of a little lesson to go along with it. And over the years, when I would tell these stories to, small groups like a Rotary Club or some program where I would tell a story and play some music, that kind of program, people would say, well, Dave, you should write a book about that. Well, I've been hearing that for dozens of years. So guess what? The pandemic comes along and all of us, instead of going out to eat and going visiting people and doing things, all of a sudden we're at home and we're looking at each other and saying, now what are we going to do? And so my wife, Linda, she looks at me one evening. She says, well, you've been talking about writing a book about your stories for all these many years. She said, I think now is the time to just sit down and do it. Just make the decision. We're going to write your book. So that's exactly what happened. I made a commitment. I'm going to write my book of stories. Now, she had the title already for years. She had said the title of your book has got to be Touched by the Music, because all those letters that I've gotten, over 50,000 letters from people over the years, telling me how my music touched their lives. So it was a natural to have my book called Touched by the Music. And it's how the story and music of Rachel's song can change your life. It certainly changed mine. So I sat down about a year and a half ago, and for about 9 months, I spent writing down all these stories. And then here's another aspect that I heard you hint about a while ago, and that is the fact that you need a team of people around you. I didn't know how to publish a book. I wasn't sure exactly how to put the book together, but there are people who that's their expertise. You can always find somebody who knows what you don't know. And building that team around you, of whether it's writing a book, marketing a product, doing any kind of enterprise, you need a team of people. It's very rare that you can do something totally 100% by yourself. So in writing a book, I did the same thing. I spent 3 days with my now friend, Jack Canfield. He was a great guide for me on how to do my book, and he was very impressed with my music. He loved Rachel's song, or loves Rachel's song, and he liked my writing, and he was extremely encouraging, to the point where he ended up writing the foreword to my book. So I was very honored to have the very famous Jack Canfield write my foreword. You know, he's only sold 700 plus million books in his lifetime. So he is right up at the top of the list of all the published books in the world. But you need a team like that of people that you can gather around you to support whatever you're doing. And in my case, the writing of the book, I got some editorial help. I got great advice on how to publish it on Amazon and self-publish it. There's a decision. Do you publish it yourself, or do you try to pitch it to a publisher? Well, I decided I didn't want to give away half my book to a publisher. I'll just publish it myself, which I did. So the book is full of those stories that begin with a little bit of history of me and my earlier life with music, but it starts really with the writing of Rachel's song, and then what happened since then for the last 41 years. And it's quite a journey. It's a story about music and about inspiration and about touching people's lives. So it's got all those good things in it. And I also devoted an entire chapter 21, to a select number of the very special notes and letters that I got over the years. And when you read chapter 21 with those stories, you better get you a box of Kleenex at the same time, because they are really touching stories of how the music literally touched people's lives in a very meaningful way.
Thank you so much, Dave. And thank you for sharing with our audience what they can expect to take away from the book and the value and the purpose of it. I really appreciate that. I do have a question for the two of you. We're talking about teams, and of course, our audience is business entrepreneurs. So when you're bringing on a new team member or members, do you automatically trust them, or do they have to prove themselves first? What are your thoughts?
Well, the selection process is very critical. Obviously, you want to do the best job you can in determining that relationship and that trust factor as quickly as you can, because you're right, that trust factor between you and your teammate or your partner or whatever person you're bringing into your circle of business, it needs to have that element of trust. Like in my case, I needed to hire an office manager to help me answer the phone and ship my CDs and stuff out of here. I was working at my job at AT&T. This person was going to have to work in my home office by themselves all day long without any supervision from me. So naturally, I had to have a big trust in that person. They had to be honest. I didn't want somebody coming in and stealing us blind or not doing a good job. And so that selection of that person, but very quickly, I think if you're observant and deal with that person really closely, you'll know whether that person is genuine or not, or whether they're trying to pull one over on you, whatever. I think, or at least I think most people have a good sense of when somebody is really trustworthy and a good match with you. And conversely, you can also probably find out when you don't you either have disagreements with them, or you find yourself questioning what they're doing too often or whatever. And if those little signals keep popping up, that's a little red flag that you might need to back up and say, well, maybe this is not the right person for my team, and gently find a way to replace them with someone else. But you got it nailed when you said that trust factor has to be there. And I think Roland would probably echo exactly what I'm saying here, that you need to trust your team around you implicitly.
Yes, thank you so much. I agree with you. One weakness of myself that I've had over the years, and my father used to point it out to me all the time when he was alive, he would say that I trust everyone. And that's who I've always been. I always trust you first until you prove yourself otherwise. And my father would be like, no, they have to prove themselves before you trust them. What are your thoughts, Roland?
Well, for me, trust is very important, and I always trusted people very fast, and I made my bad experiences too, but my good ones too, both of them. But what I do actually is asking my network if I'm looking for somebody about recommendations. So they already know somebody who they can trust, and so I'm always asking my network first, and I never pick up a phone book or Google something. So I always ask my network. That's the first step. And then when somebody appears from the network and says, yeah, this maybe can fit, I always try to meet this person in person, have a conversation, not only about business, also about private stuff. And what I do is what I learned many years ago, because this has been done with me too. They meet me privately at home with my wife and my kids, and they'll have a look at me, how they are acting outside the business in a private atmosphere. It's totally different. I learned so much from this. And like I met, Sam from who does all my websites and all my stuff. So for me, it's just very important to meet on a private level and build up trust. And doesn't mean that you don't control the work. Of course, you do feedback, you do review process, of course, but trust is so important, because when you distrust people, it's painful for both, and it's not fruitful.
Yeah, the music business has a kind of a reputation of distrust. And that's largely because we hear all the stories in the media of the people where the musicians got taken advantage of by a less than scrupulous producer or promoter or whatever. So you hear all the bad news. But in any industry, especially the music business, I have been so fortunate that the people that I got connected with, like Gary Prim, the artist in Nashville, Tennessee, that's done all of my recordings for me and with me, I implicitly trust him. He is more like family than a friend. He and his wife and kids are just part of the family. And I trust him and his, not only personally, but I trust his musical skills and ability to take a song that I would give him. I know that the music that I'm going to get back from him through his arrangements is exactly what I want. The same with my recording engineer. I've used the same recording engineer, Ronnie Light, for all of my albums. And it's that same trusting relation, but I never have to question anything that I have asked Ronnie to do or to provide for me. And that even finding my office manager, I went to a friend in Winston-Salem who I trust, who owned a professional part-time employee service business. And that was her job, was providing employers with part-time people that they could trust and have work for them. She provided me led to both of my office managers that were eventually as trustworthy as I could have ever asked for. So knowing who you're dealing with, whether, like you said, going through your network of people that you trust to give you advice about who do you know that might fit into what I'm looking for, that, and then using your own instincts of inviting them into your environment, like Roland said, and see how they react outside of the business world and in the personal world, and see if the chemistry is there.
Excellent points, gentlemen. Thank you so much. And I think in addition to having these types of discussions for our team members, referrals and networks are a great way to promote your business and your brand. And I think in some cases, having referrals come in is more valuable than the money we spend for advertising, because sometimes there's absolutely no results whatsoever. When I first started out, about 18 months ago, I started advertising at all kinds of venues, golf magazine, this magazine, all these things that I didn't get any returns whatsoever. But just having one person tell another person, to me, I found that's the best way, the most efficient way.
And another, right along that same line, I'm glad you gave that as an example, is the issue of advertising versus publicity. Now, anybody that's in an entrepreneurial business, starting up especially, you're looking at it. Advertising is very expensive. Plus, my gripe with advertising is that it's very difficult to measure the return on the money that you spend on advertising. The advertisers will tell you all day long how many millions of people that they reach. It's like asking people how many electric outlets are in your house. Well, that's kind of irrelevant when you're trying to determine how many devices are actually plugged into them. But so you need to be very careful about how you approach advertising versus publicity. And I have a really good example of how publicity can be worth it 1,000,000 times its weight in gold versus advertising. I wrote an article in 1994 in a magazine called Guideposts. And it's a little, it didn't cost me anything to get the article in the magazine. It was just one that was, I got it through a fan of mine who happened to be a writer for Guideposts. They told my story about Rachel's song and published it in Guidepost magazine. Well, that little magazine is subscribed to by over 2 million people around the world. And the day that this magazine hit the street, my phone number, which was printed in the back of the magazine, and my address, my phone started ringing and it never stopped for days. I had to hire 2 people just to answer the phone. And my mailman came dragging my mail down the sidewalk in a canvas bag that was too heavy for him to pick up. I got over 10,000 letters in less than 10 days just from this little piece of publicity that didn't cost a nickel for me to have it in this magazine. So the value of publicity, it is priceless. So whatever you can do to promote your business, whether it's a podcast, any kind of business, get a hold of your local media. The media people are all just starving for good, feel-good stories or good, interesting stories. If you'll spend the time to help put yourself in their position and kind of write the story for them, tell your story as if you were the reporter, I bet you that 9 times out of 10, they'll print your story or they'll run a little story on you on the cable network or whatever. So you can get publicity, and that publicity goes out to who knows how many people. So go for it.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's been a pleasure having you here. While I have you on Spotlight, can you please share with our audience who's listening or they're not able to read the banner, what's the best way to contact you and who would you like to do so?
My best way is to go to my website. Just remember my last name, Combs, C-O-M-B-S. Go to combsmusic.com. And when you get to my website page, on the left, you'll see a picture of my book. And on the right, you'll see a picture of the cover of my CD. And underneath each of those, you will see links that says buy now from Amazon. If you click either of those links, it will take you to the Amazon page where you can get my book in paperback, ebook, or Audible book. You can go and get my CD, a physical CD, as well as downloading the MP3 files of my music or streaming it if you're an Amazon Music subscriber. And in the middle of my home page, there's a link there that you can listen to Rachel's song for free. Just click on that and you will be able to listen to the entire song of Rachel's song as it was originally recorded in 1986. So combsmusic.com is all you have to remember. And I love to hear from you. My email is just dave@combsmusic.com. I read them all and I answer them all. So go to combsmusic.com and let me hear from you.
Thank you so much, Dave. And I really appreciate you being here on your 75th. And hopefully maybe you're coming back this week, actually. We'll see you later this week.
Yes, I think it's on Friday. Yes.
Yes, I think on Friday. All right. We'll see you then. I can't wait.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Good to see you and good to meet you, Roland.
Thanks, Dave. You're an absolute role model. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Roland, I know we have to get going because the men's show is starting. So I'm going to spotlight you. And if you can share the best way for people to reach out to you, that would be terrific.
Yeah, just shortly because my men's panel is already waiting backstage. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to come up and start your own business, your own idea, and you need support, go to my website, rolandfriedl.com. It's just my name. I will spell it for you. It's ROLANDFRIEDL.com. And then you find some different links. Go on the link Wireless Life Rocks. That's the best one. There you get the coaching. Send me your contact address. I come back to you, and maybe we can start something together with my support. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Roland, quickly, what is the next show?
Well, the next show is Wild at Heart, Real Authentic Uncut. It's a men's show. It's a show by men, for men, about men. And we have amazing panel, guys from different backgrounds, from different parts of the world. And today we have to discuss what is a hobby interesting for a man, why he should have a hobby besides his job and his relationship and family, and what does it say about the person.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. I'll see you over in the other studio in just a moment.
See it. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you again to each and every one of you who watches our shows, who listens to our shows, who email me. If you're interested in being a guest, we have, I think, 26 shows a week now, and that's increasing as we're adding new shows starting in June. Please go over to usaglobaltv.com to book your session, and we look forward to having you share your story so we can support you and your work. Okay, as Roland mentioned, the next show is coming up. It's a show for men, by men, about men. And then right after that is a show for women, about women, by women. So this next show is called Wild at Heart, and the one after that is called A Woman's Prerogative. We'll see you there. Thanks again, Dave. Bye, everyone.